Kristen, are you able to see who's online off of your pad? So I'm gonna have to, just so we can read who's on here.
So you go to show participants, and in this meeting, those are all the people that are in here
Okay.
right now.
Good morning. We're going to get started here. I'm going to start by announcing who's online, just so we have that for the minutes. So we have Jason Whirling, Leslie Messenberg, Ralph Chamberlain, Tim Brown, and Wes Poole. And then with me, if you give me just a minute, we'll do that.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I don't know a lot of your names yet. All right, we have Mr. Schwanger, Robert Fitzgerald, David Waddington, Jennifer Ashburn, and Mike Zuloff, and Kristen Baroni, and myself, Nicole Growy. So that is who is in the meeting. I'm sorry, what's your name?
John Fike.
Oh, and John Fike. Sorry, we got people in the chamber and we got people online, so we're kind of doing a hybrid today. All right. So to get started, today we are meeting to go over the 2022 action plan. So this is the up and coming year for the Consolidated Plan Advisory Committee meeting. So just briefly, here's the agenda, what we're going to go over today. I'm not going to read it. So just a very brief overview of what the CDBG program is. It's the Community Development Block Grant Program. And what that means is, well, not what it means, but for us, we're an entitlement community. So you can either be an entitlement community or you could be a competitive community. So entitlement means we're given an annual amount each year. So we get the funds directly from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, and we are allowed to carry out these activities as long as they meet any of the 3 objectives listed by HUD. So their main 3 objectives nationally are to benefit low to moderate income families, aid in prevention or elimination of slum or blight, and meet community urgent need due to disaster. So the 2022 fiscal year is a little confusing. It actually starts in June 30th of 22, and it will end July 1st of 23. So this year, the city anticipates receiving $799,000. That's an estimate. We won't find out the actual amount till a little later in the year, but for planning purposes, we always just do a little estimate and start that way. So under the grant, there's certain requirements that we can't exceed certain things. So we must have 70% of the program meet and benefit LMI households, which are low, medium income households. And 70% of that amount would be about $559,000. And then 20% max of the total budget can only be for program administration. So at a maximum, we can assign $159,000 if we'd like. And then 15% can be budgeted into public services, which are the subrecipient agreements. And if you've ever done a program with us, like Meals on Wheels, Center for Cultural Awareness, that type of thing. So the max on that is $119,000. So just briefly, since this is a kickoff meeting, this is just an overview of the timeline for this. Today is the first step in it. It's the kickoff meeting of the CPAC. There's going to be subrecipient applications online, which is for those public services. And those will be posted online, and they'll also be available at City Hall. The applications are open to anybody who is a nonprofit or can reach one of those goals that we listed. If you look in the application, it'll tell you a little bit more information. But if you're interested, you can grab one of those, and those are due on March 21st. The next step in all this is going to be having a public hearing, and that's going to be March 14th. And then the draft plan is going to be ready March 23rd. And then we're going to have a public comment period. So anyone can comment on it. It's open. The whole plan will be available for everyone to view. And then on March 23rd, we will have our second committee meeting. And then our second public hearing will be happening in May 9th. And then we'll bring it to the commission May 9th, too, to consider everyone's comments. And then it needs to go to HUD by May 14th. So just a brief overview of where we're at right now. Some of these, just because it says unspent doesn't mean it's not allocated to something. I just wanted to clarify that, because some of these are already committed to programs. We just haven't had the bills processed fully. So it may look higher than what it really is. So with program well, let's go over the little italics on the bottom real quick. So any remaining funds that are in the carryover in 2023, except for those in public service or public administration, and that's denoted by that little asterisk, that's why I want to go over that, will be placed in clearance and demo activities, because that was listed in the 2021 action plan is what we would do with any extra funds. So, program administration, I'm just going to round because yeah, there's a lot of numbers. So 120,000 was approved. We've spent about 37,000. We have around 83,000 to spend by June 30th of 22. For fair housing, we have $10,000 approved. We've spent about half of that, 5,000. There's about 5,000 left to spend. Public facilities, that would be your road improvements, all the series of roads that were fixed this summer. Those were approved at $331,000 and 55. We have about 275,000 spent, 56,000 left. Clearance and demo, which would be all those houses that have been coming down. This one's a little tricky. It's $180,000. That was from 2019 carryover funds. That's what the 2019 means. That was extra funds we didn't spend for a prior year, so that's why I wanted to clarify that. So we actually spent $160,000 of that, and right now we have $19,000 in there. And that amount is also going to be, if we do any more demos at all this year, it'll come out of that. For acquisition, that was also one of the tricky ones that kind of carried over from last year. So this funding was actually from 2022. So we had $104,000, or 2020, I'm sorry. $104,000 in that. We've spent about $17,000, and then we'll have about $87,000 carried over because we did purchase some properties this year. Code enforcement, there was $100,000 that was approved, and then there was $36,000 spent. There's about $63,000 left. So code enforcement helps pay for some of the salaries of the code enforcement workers, and they have to be in CDBG eligible areas to count that. Youth programming is like our park services, that type of thing. There's been $22,000 allocated for that. There's been about $7,000 spent and $14,000 left to spend. Strategic planning is for our transit plan. That hasn't been kicked off yet, so that's going to be carried over into 2023. That was $20,000. The Center for Cultural Awareness, that's a public service. That's why it has that little asterisk. That was awarded last year through one of these subrecipient grants. They were awarded $10,000. They haven't spent anything yet, so there's a $10,000 balance, but that money is allocated. Same with OGO. They are a public service too. So they had $40,000 that was allocated, and they have only spent $22,000, so there's about $17,000 left. Meals on Wheels, that's through the Erie County Senior Center. They had $40,000, and they have spent all their money, so I'm not going to worry about their balance. And then for rehabilitation, there's $67,000. We're going to carry that into next year. So that is pretty much the overview right now of 21. This is a little different. I didn't have to add this, I just wanted to since we're meeting. This is the COVID funding overview. So COVID funds are from 2020, so it isn't even anything to do with this year or last year, but I just wanted you guys to see where we're at on this. So the COVID funding was allocated as a special allocation. It's not something we normally get. But these are the projects that we have, and this is the amounts where we're at. So I'll go over this real quickly. For program administration, there was $87,000 that was approved. There's been about $1,000 spent, and there's about $86,000 that needs spent. These don't need spent until 2023. Public Works, it has $100,000. There hasn't been anything spent yet, but there's going to be a $100,000 balance. The mortgage and rental subsistence payment program that we just did the amendment on, nothing's been spent on that yet because we haven't approved it. So there's $150,000 left for that. And then the food pantry program, there were 2 rounds of it. The first round was Victory Kitchen and Second Harvest. So right now, there's about $50,000 that was allocated for that.
Participant is now joining.
Sorry. So there's about $40,000 left for that, for the food pantry 1 round. And then food pantry 2, we had Care and Share and Father's Heart Church. We had various amounts of different nonprofits apply for that. So the total of that was $75,000. So far, they've spent down about $15,000, and there's $59,000 left. OGO, they have spent all their money that was allocated for them. That was $15,000. And there's also additional youth programming funding, $50,000. They've spent about $34,000. There's $15,000 left. The fire station HVAC equipment got upgraded, so that was spent, $34,000. And then there was some COVID prevention equipment that was also purchased. That was about $14,000 that's spent. And then Meals on Wheels, again, spent all their allocation, $30,000. So I know that was a lot, but I wanted to open it up if anyone has any questions.
Did that spending for this COVID have to meet the same requirements that Black Rent does?
We have to spend it by 23. As far as
How the money is spent.
it has certain stipulations on how it has to be spent. It has to be to prepare or prevent COVID. So it's a little different. That's
Like fire station heating, air conditioning system.
because we had to prove that it was going to prevent COVID somehow. Like if they're going to, I think because they're first responders is why that was selected. I wasn't here when that was selected, but that's my assumption. Yep.
So you have in a document somewhere, like under youth programming for 2020, you have that broken down into what exactly where that money went to?
We have an action plan, and it tells you how much exactly was allocated. And then there is an online software, a federal software that I manage, and it will show me where it
I
got
could
spent.
ask for, I mean, I just use that for an example, but I could ask
Yeah.
for that information where that.
You can ask me for it, yeah. You have to go through the software, though.
Okay. And the other question I had was for Tim Brown, if he's still on.
He is on, yeah.
Okay, the 150,000 substantial amendment, is CAC back to full capacity as far as employees is concerned? And do you feel confident that you're able to administer that funding this year for the 2020 funds?
Good question. Short answer, yes, but it depends on what day of the week it is. I'm not being sarcastic, but I'm just being
Right.
honest.
Yep.
Right now, we are at capacity, but I lost a person last week, so it fluctuates back and forth. But I do have people in place right now, and I think is be able to implement this program, and do it effectively, and bring it into our umbrella of other programs that we're operating. So I feel confident we can do it.
Okay, is there still a special way that you have to apply for that funds? Like, you can't come to the door, or do you have to make an appointment? What's the process for that 150?
Well, the process is going to be basically the same as our other programs and services due to COVID, because we're not accepting walk-ins. So they're going to be able to get an application on our website. They can come to our door, pick an application. Or they can give us a call. We can get them get an application to them if they have a smartphone or access to a computer. We have a really unique tool I mentioned before. It's called PandaDoc. We can upload an application to a client. Client can fill out the information. We can also upload other documents the client might need. They can upload it back to us. So it's a really unique program. It works well.
Okay.
So we have multi ways a customer can get an application.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Nicole, for you, when is that 150, we're still in the process of taking comments. When does that kick in as far as people being able to apply?
So the final hearing for that will be March 14th. As soon as that's done, then I anticipate that going fairly quickly.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
When you, I can add, there was a news article in the paper, and I'm getting a lot of contacts about it. People are in need, so we're just waiting to go. We got applications pending.
Nicole,
Yep.
yeah, for the, I was looking at the slide that the 2020 money that wasn't spent. Do you have some concept of what that money's going to be spent on?
Wes, are you talking about the 21 or the COVID 20?
You can talk about either of them, that there's, or COVID, either one. The point is, there's money out there that hasn't been spent that was allocated in 2020. We can work with that. And it's like we're at the last, toward halfway through, I suppose. I just wondered, do they tell you what they intend to spend the money on? We have some idea what we're going to get for it?
Yeah.
Or is it just you give them the money and you hope it'll be okay?
Yeah, there's always a plan for it. It's not just given with no plan. So with some of these, like I said, there's been things going, but we just haven't billed it yet. And there's also other projects that are in the works that just haven't gone fully through. So that's why the balance looks so high.
Okay, essentially, I'll probably just come down and look at what you have, and just so you understand my concern, it's a matter of is it monthly, quarterly, somehow or another. We have some way of evaluating how these programs are going, so that we know that the money is being spent well. And I mean, and is going to be that they don't have a problem that it's not going to get spent by the end of the year, end of the time frame.
Yeah, so we have in our action plan automatically, if something isn't spent in a public service category, that it will go to clearance and demolition. We won't lose any of these funds.
Well, I'm not worried about losing them. As far as I'm concerned, if the programs didn't work, it may or may not be good.
Yeah.
Okay, loss. It's money unspent to serve people that goes into some other fund isn't necessarily what we want to do. If we gave them the money and they said something was going to occur, are we monitoring this close enough to say, hey, what are you guys having a problem here? You've been sitting on this money for some time, and it doesn't appear to be any service going out. And that's when then you don't have to go into detail, but that's what I'm.
Yeah, so we have quarterly reports that I actually require from any subrecipients, so I've been working with them on that, and there's a whole evaluation form in there. So if you get time, if you want to stop up, I'd be more than happy to go over that with you. Does that answer your question, Wes?
Wes, we're not
yes.
hearing you.
Okay,
Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
okay. Anybody else?
Nicole?
Yep.
Yeah, lady out there also had a.
Sure, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking this way.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to go first.
Go- All right. Yeah, I appreciate Mr. Poole's comments. I had concerns along the same line or questions along the same line. But first, I'd like to say that I appreciate all the challenges, and I think we're blessed to have a staff that's on this, and it's challenging work. There are a lot of statutory requirements, a lot of places to trip, so with full appreciation for
Thank you.
how difficult this is, and what we have is excellent and clear work here, and I especially appreciate the extra stuff you put in about the COVID stuff, because I know there are questions, and you didn't have to put that in there, and you did, and I appreciate that. And I also especially appreciate that you seem to be saying that we'll be getting even more information in the future, and that because updates are helpful
Yep.
between meetings. So I'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
Nicole, this is Jeff Burkus. I had to call in, but I have been on a meeting.
Okay, can you hold on just one moment?
Sure.
Okay.
What specifically has been allocated for streets? I live in MacArthur Park, and that's terrible. And that was my one question.
Sure.
And then two, can Churches apply for the youth programming?
Yeah.
card?
Yep.
And churches are considered nonprofits?
Mhm.
Okay.
So those streets, there was a whole listing of them that was done this summer. Those are all done. I can send them to you if you want. I don't know them off the top of my head. But the street department has sent me another list of ones they would like done this coming round. So I can see where those are at.
She'd like to see.
Yeah, I don't have it with me.
It's done on what you're gonna do.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I can send that to you. I'll get your information. And as far as if churches can apply, absolutely. You just get a subrecipient application and fill out what you'd like to do.
And I'm a member of Leadership Erie County, and we have adopted Heartbeat.
Yes.
So pregnancy centers, so would we be able to apply for funds for that?
As long as it's a nonprofit, yeah. There's certain stipulations you have to follow, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. And then, I'm sorry, Jeff, was it Jeff?
Yeah, Burke was from
Okay.
Halfway Professional Standards. I had trouble logging in, so I just called in.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
I said, for some reason, wouldn't log me in, so I just called in.
Oh, okay, no problem. Thank you. Anybody else?
I have a question, Nicole.
Sure.
Nicole, will the subrecipient application be on the front page of the city's website or on the CDBG page, or do you know exactly?
Hi, Ralph. It'll be on the development page, and then you can also get it directly from me. I have my contact information up too. Whatever way you want to get it.
Thank you.
Yep. What's up, Marcus?
Hey, Nikki.
Oh, hold on just one moment, please.
For purposes of this program, defining youth, is that the definition kind of used by our state for the comprehensive case management and employment program, like 14 to 24, 18 to 24? How do they define youth?
So with CDBG, there's different matrix codes, and the matrix code defines what the project encompasses. So depending on the child's age, it will tell you what code they fall in, if that makes sense. And if you want to go over that later, we can do that. Yep.
Another question for the COVID prevention, the funds that you have available for that. Would that pay for advertising too, like on a television station, if a commercial is developed and that tells about COVID and prevention and where you can get your things? Do you pay for advertising?
So the COVID funds are already allocated right now. The 2020 ones that I showed are allocated. The ones that we're getting applications for are just regular public service. It doesn't have to deal with COVID. So you can do a program as long as you explain how the advertising would fit one of those national objectives, which I can work with you on that too. It's okay if that helps. But yeah,
So that funds are available to be used for advertising that meet the national objectives.
exactly, yep. And if you need help, I can help you with the application too.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Was somebody online asking something? I'm sorry, I got people here and online, so trying to balance it.
Hey, Nikki, it's Tim King with
Hey.
the Erie Regional Planning Commission.
Yeah.
Who's your fair housing contact person?
Oh, Don Eagers.
Okay.
So do you have a pamphlet or do you need his information?
Yeah, I'll just email you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, please contact me. We'll meet again here soon. We'll get these subrecipient applications in and get this draft going.
Are we into the discussion about 2022 funds right now?
No, this is just a kickoff.
Okay.
Like, we
Yeah.
haven't assigned anything yet. This is just the general.
Okay, so you're not taking any suggestions on that?
You can provide a suggestion, yeah. There's going to be a whole period of time you can comment to. There's going to be a 30-day public comment period
So that's going to come after,
after the draft plan's made.
okay, but after the first public hearing, or is it going to be before the first public hearing?
For the first public hearing, yeah, I believe that they go through any comments that are received. So if you want to get something prepared, that's fine.
Okay, because I think in the past, I don't know, anybody here been here in the past that this committee actually made suggestions before any public hearing, and then the public that's not here is able to make, suggestions, ideas. So you don't want any ideas from this committee is what?
You can,
Okay.
yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll share them, and that's what the public hearings are for, so.
Okay. But you don't want them today, you want it like, I'll send.
No, you can send it later, yeah, yeah.
Okay, got it.
And they may change because we are working on this. It's a working document right now, so.
Okay.
Nicole, Jeff,
Yes.
was the person asked about fair housing. We also have a fair housing and ADA board that meets quarterly that works with the city. So if he has any questions, he can contact me also to deal with fair housing.
Absolutely, yeah, I'll send them your information, if that's okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Tim, you're welcome to go to those meetings too. Those are quarterly through the city, so.
Yeah, we have to direct people, a lot of people your way as far as fair housing questions and whatnot, so.
Yeah,
Always helpful.
okay, no
Yeah.
problem. Any other
And I'm
questions?
pretty good at answering. I'm pretty good at answering fair housing since I've been in real estate for 35 years and used to teach those courses on fair housing.
Awesome, thank you.
Who was that?
Jeff, I'm sorry, Bierquist, I believe?
Fair question. Yep.
Bierquist.
You have my contact information.
Yes, yep. Anything else online? Anyone else? Okay, well, I thank you for your time today, and we will meet again later this year. Make sure to get your applications in. If you want to apply, you can feel free to call me if you need help. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Yep.
Have a good day.
Can we just go over who's here